Good evening. Welcome to my Tuesday night training. Hopefully you caught last night's training, because if you did, you will love tonight's. And tonight's topic, and our topic of conversation and discussion is going to be, how can I have it all? Now you may be asking yourself the question, Brian, is that even possible? And ordinarily, or rather in my past, I would say probably not. Having heaven on earth, I didn't think at that point in time was possible. And my invitation to you tonight is to join me and allow me to take you on a journey and allow me to meet you where you're at with some experiences that I've had in my life that would have allowed me to shape me into the person that I am today, that would lead me to believe a full spectrum 180 difference on the fact that you can have heaven on earth. And it is completely possible. And tonight I'm going to take you on a little journey of some things that I've experienced and been through, and some messes in my life that would allow me to experience differently. And I'm going to share with you these in hopes to resonate with you on some level, to meet you no matter where you're at, to help you to understand that if you are having challenges and you are looking to create heaven on earth, it is 100% possible. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. So if you've never connected with me, make sure you connect with me on thinkgreatloseweight.com. You can also connect with me on my YouTube station. And hold on one second. I had a malfunction there for a moment. All right, back in action. Yes, I'm coming. I'm here live. So tonight I'm going to share with you exactly what you get to do, how to recognize if you're off your mark, and most importantly, what are some systems that you can do, use, and implement to regain your confidence, regain your focus, and regain your ability and connection to experience heaven on earth. And it's important for you to understand that a system specifically stands for save yourself time, energy, and money. And what I'm going to do with you tonight, with your permission, is I'm going to share with you some lifetime experiences that I've had that have been rather interesting. And I'm going to share with them specifically with you in hopes that we shed some light and some opportunities on you for some availabilities of some things that most don't think is available. So without further ado, my invitation to you is to grab onto your seat, tie your shoes, get some water. Make sure you get something to take notes with. Here's my water. Get something to take notes with. And most importantly, just be open-minded, because it doesn't matter who you are and where you're trying to go. If you're closed-minded, this is not going to work. So my first question to you is, and I always like starting my trainings off with this, is this one. If I ask you the question, do you love yourself? What's your answer? And this is a completely interactive session, so make sure you go ahead and chime in. Tonight is all about you. As always, my invitation for you is to show up fully. Give yourself permission to be uncomfortable. Give yourself permission to interact, to ask questions. I have my computer open so I can also see any questions that pop up. I also have my phone open as well so I can see everything that's going on. So we are available. So let's do it. So if I ask you the question, do you love yourself? What's your response? And that is going to be the most important question that you could ever ask yourself. And most importantly, it's going to be the most important answer you could ever understand and know for you to truly have it all. In order for you to have it all, you must, without a doubt, unequivocally, be plugged in to have a full embodied yes as your answer if I ask you, do you love yourself? And, you know, honestly, can I be honest with you? What's up, Jane? Awesome. Pretty much. Well, you'll learn about pretty much here in a moment. So the first time I was ever asked this question, do you love yourself? I honestly thought that I did too. My answer was pretty close to pretty much. It was like, yes, of course I do. Or yeah, of course I do is what it was. And I invite you to consider this. If your answer is not a yes, then it is a no. And if it is a no, that's completely okay, because most people I've come into contact and experience with are unplugged, meaning they're not fully connected and fully hooked up. So if you are, that's okay, because I'm going to share with you exactly what happened to me and allow me to re-plug in with myself. So when I was factually asked the question, do I love myself, back in, I was 30 years old. I'm 38 years young now, so 8 years ago. My question was, yeah, of course I do. Yeah is not a yes. So when I was asked this question, my coach, I was in my body language class, and there was a young lady who was talking, and I was just sitting there listening in class, right? And I had my arm out on the chair, and as my arm was out on the chair, I was sitting here scratching my bicep really, really, really big time, like really big time. Now, there's a lot of you on here who maybe just be connecting with me for the first time, and I'm super grateful for you, and I'm super enthusiastic about sharing my experience with you because I know it's going to make an impact on your life. Those of you that have been connected with me for a while, Miss Terry, Trixie, a few of you, you'll also get a kick out of this as well. So when I was in class, I was scratching my left bicep big time. And at the time, I was in a body language class. And at the time, I did not know what that meant. Although I did know that there was something going on that I was not aware of, that my body was attempting to communicate through me or get a message through to me. All I knew was that my arm was scratching a lot more than normal. So I said, well, let's go ask Bob at the end of our break. So class took a break. I walked over to my teacher and I said, hey, Bob, I was like, well, what does this right here mean? And literally like 6 words out of my mouth, he asked me, how long have you had a death wish? Kind of startled me, just like it may have just startled you. I said, well, that's a really good question. You know, I was suicidal in my early 20s. That's the first place that comes to mind for me. And what I had thought, which was really interesting. Oh, hey, Christine, you're welcome. I'm grateful to be sharing with you right now. And what's really interesting is that even though I had quote unquote made it through life, and I'm showing up to you here right now because I quote unquote made it through life, that doesn't mean that I love myself because I made it through my experiences and what I consciously had thought that I had forgiven or removed the blockages or basically stepped back in and reconnected with myself from my experiences that happened in my early 20s. Well, what I'm inviting you to consider is that it's never wrong, and there may be some higher options available to you and for you that you may not just be aware of yet. And that's exactly what happened to me. I thought, yeah, of course I love myself. Who doesn't? A lot of people don't. And they don't know it. They think that they do, just like I thought I did. I thought I totally loved myself. And I was like, really? I don't? That's news to me. I was like, well, beam me up. If there's something else that I require knowing or something you know that will help me better, please help me to understand more so I can be the best version of myself. With that in mind, for the next 20 minutes, I sat into the hot seat of my class. My coach literally helped to negotiate me back into my experience. I was instructed and guided through some forgiveness things for some old former partners, forgiving of myself, giving myself permission to forgive myself, and then reclaiming my love for myself. And I'll be honest with you, this is really fascinating. Some of you are brand new to this, and here's what you're going to find about me. I am 100% Brian. I don't pull any punches. I tell you exactly what I think lovingly. I'll tell you all the mess that has happened in my life, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm not perfect by no means. I have done lots of crazy things and had lots of crazy experiences, and God has blessed me to make it through today to share with you. So allow me to finish the rest of my story, because what happens next is kind of fascinating. So my coach coaches me back into my experience where I love myself, and literally I'm actually behind my eyes for the first time in about 10 years. Now, as I'm in class sitting there, I'm having a Rolodex of memories popping up from the last 10 years saying, wow, that makes total sense as to why I was suicidal, why I did mass amounts of drugs, why I ended up in jail, why I almost died about 10 times. That would make most sense because I was not home and I did not love myself. So my question to you is, maybe you haven't gone to jail. Maybe you haven't almost died. Maybe you haven't had a drug issue. Maybe you're not overweight. What is it in your closet that is holding you back from being fully authentic, loving, and at peace with who you are. Until you can identify that one thing or 5 things that's allowing you or not allowing you to have it all, that's where we get to do some work. And once you find that out, you may already know it right now, write it on your little piece of paper, because I'm actually going to go through some systems that I have created specifically with the help of a lot of coaches, well over 100,000 hours invested in health and wellness knowledge, institutions, accredited resources, teachers, you name it. Well over $100,000 invested, as well as 100,000 hours. So the stuff I'm sharing with you, not only have I seen it work, I experience it in my own life, and I see it and use it to create miracles every day. And if you use it, it works every time. So back to class. So when I got finished with class that day, I was driving home, and honestly, I don't know if you've ever done any hallucinogenics in your past. I have in my past, me being honest with you. And when I left class that day, I could have swore to you I thought someone had given me some type of hallucinogen. Because here's what I was experiencing. I was driving down the road. Trees were way more vibrant, like they were blowing. Wildlife, more colors, conversation with people. I had people calling me out of the blue that I had not talked to in over 10 years. They called me on my way home from me leaving my class and me getting recommitted back to loving myself and being fully present in my I am that I am presence. I had people call me that I hadn't talked to in years that said, Brian, we love you, and we were just thinking about you, and we decided to reach out and call you. That's what I felt like. What's up, Pete? I had not talked to these people. They had no idea what I had just experienced or what kind of class that I was just in. Now, you may say, Brian, that's kind of crazy. It's totally crazy. And what I've experienced working with over 60,000 people is that when you're doing consciousness work, meaning when you're doing emotional work, when you are taking rooted experiences that people have had years and years and years of shame, guilt, lack of trust, jealousy, anger, resentment, when you take those experiences and you shine love on them and you're able to forgive them, and you're able to step back into loving yourself and looking at yourself in the mirror, things change immediately, not just for you, for everyone across our planet. Because have you ever heard the saying, all is one? Have you ever heard the saying, all is one? That is simply referring to our subconscious is connected with every other subconscious on the planet. There's no way that I could do anything to me that's not going to affect you on some level. We'll get into more about that. If you have any questions over what I have discussed so far, please post your comments in the post. I'm doing this training specifically for you. I have my, there we go. What's up, Stephanie? I have my computer open so I can see your stuff as well. That is exactly right, Miss Stephanie K. I couldn't have said it better myself. And Miss Christine, you are very welcome. I appreciate all of you. And there you go, Jane. So, let's continue. So, being able to be completely authentic with yourself and your experiences is going to be one of the most important things to you being able to move forward. Now, what we got here is, here are some things that you can try out. And here's some things that you can practice, okay? One of the most important things to be able to understand and recognize is that if you do not understand how to recognize if you don't love yourself, or if things are not going on in your world the way that you would like for them to, if things are not going on in the form of you being enthusiastic, you being loving, you being joyful, and you having amazing experiences. Now, here's one thing you want to make sure. Yeah, ladies, make sure you're in a good internet connection because we're running a video. And you can always go back and check the video feed when we're done. It will be recorded for you. And I appreciate you and I apologize for the inconvenience because I know sometimes doing a video can be nuts, especially on my end. So I honor that, and I love you, and I vote your victory. So here's some things that I'm going to share with you now, ladies. And just open your ears. Right now, your eyes may not be able to see because of the technology things. But what I'm inviting you to do right now is just tune in for a minute and just listen to what I'm sharing with you, because I'm about to get into some very amazing technologies and experiences that I've had that have literally helped me to be able to share, to be able to connect with myself, and most importantly, to be able to create miracles for people. So if you are able to recognize what's going on in your life and not understanding what to do about it, like if you're looking around and you notice sabotage, like maybe you're trying to do something in your health and wellness goals, and you notice that every time you get going, something happens and you sabotage yourself. There's definitely some not love, some lack of love, some self-love, some self-worth challenges that are going on that are creating that. If you notice that you have illness, if you notice that you have pains showing up, if you notice that you are stuck, if you notice that you are having broken relationships that cyclically continue to show up, that means there's some work that we get to do. And I'm not telling you by any means that life is always Care Bears and rainbows, so don't take it that way. Life is always going to show up. The beauty and the benefit of the things that I've been shared with and the things that I've learned have allowed me to minimize the dips in life, to where instead of having a lot of these, you have these. Because you can minimize your lows and peak your highs, and you understand how to recognize when you're off your mark. And you, yeah, my wireless connection is acting funny too, so we'll keep rolling. So let's talk about 3 things right now, okay? This one is important because no matter who you are and where you're trying to go, what I'm going to share with you right now is body language, meaning your body is constantly talking to you, just like mine is constantly talking to me. There's 3 points that I'm going to share with you right now, and these are writer downers. You're going to want to take notes on this because this is extremely helpful. Here's where emotions show up, okay? The emotion fear, or our emotion fear, shows up in our stomach. Meaning if you're tight in your stomach, that's fear that shows up. That's where it shows up at. It will feel really similar to being hungry. Okay? It will feel really similar to being hungry. Fear does. So when I say being emotionally illiterate, I mean being able to understand whether you're hungry or whether you're in fear. That's good to know, because I used to have social anxiety, and when I did and there was food around, I would eat and eat and eat and eat because I was trying to solve my hunger issue, but it wasn't my hunger issue, it was my social anxiety or my fear. So your stomach, you can check in at any point in time during the day, and if you check your stomach, that's where fear is going to show up. So if you have tightness, that's where fear shows up. That's number 1. Number 2, if your chest and your throat are tight, that's where sorrow or sadness shows up. Next one, if your back or your neck is tight, that's where anger shows up. Now, here's one of the most important ideas, concepts, things to keep in mind while we're doing this, because it's not about what's wrong with you, ever. My invitation to you is to not think or to cancel, is to think about what's returning to you. For example, if my fear is on deck, meaning my fear is operating, well, what's returning to me? Well, my courage and my faith. It's good to know. If my sorrow is up, what's returning to me? My joy. If my anger is up, what's returning to me? My forgiveness and me reclaiming my authority in my life. And we can get on down into understanding thyroid issues and being able to connect with anger. We can get into adrenals and talking about deep-seated grief. We can also get into talking about pancreas issues or blood sugar issues and talking about losing the sweetness of life. Like, we can get into a lot of specific things dealing with emotions that most people don't understand. This right here, that's interesting, because when I scratch my face, that's code. 1, 2, 3. Joy. So I'll answer your questions in a bit, Peter. So being able to be completely authentic with yourself lovingly will allow you to decode what your body is actually trying to tell you. Now, I'll be completely Brian with you. I have seen more miracles happen in seconds than I ever have talking about a kiwi and why it reverses asthma, or talking about an avocado seed and how you can use it in your smoothie to break down plaque and arteries and to basically help to reverse heart disease. That's awesome. And I've seen way more miracles happen with an itch or a scratch or a pain or something that's showing up in someone that is way more potent at being able to literally get to the root of the issue immediately. Like when I use this kind of stuff, Trixie and I have already had conversations about this. When I use this stuff, when this specific information that I'm sharing with you right now, I always ask for permission. And you also notice at the beginning of our conversation that I also ask with your permission. Because the stuff that I do, it's very important to make sure that you have full buy-in. That's why yeses are yeses and nos are nos. Because if someone says yeah or sure, those are out of alignment statements, meaning they're not lined consciously and subconsciously, and there's going to be a rub. Therefore, you're not going to be able to get in and figure out the emotions and the issues that are happening that are keeping someone from having it all, or keeping someone to stepping into full love with themselves. And remember, it's never wrong. It's always about what's returning. One of the most important things I think it's important for us as human beings to understand and to remember is that I believe in God. You can believe in universe, whatever works for you. I'm just going to share with you my thoughts, and you do the translation. And I love you, and I vote your victory wherever you're at. Okay? So, as divinely inspirited and divinely created beings, we are created in the likeness of God. And what that means is, on a spiritual soul level, we are 100% perfect, without blemish. The only thing that does have a blemish, potentially sometimes, is our body, our brains, and our minds and our thoughts. So automatically, if we are out of a love with ourselves and we don't agree that we are put here on this perfect just like we are, just as God intended us to do so, and we don't align with that fact, we are automatically off of our mark. Which means from day one, thought one, action one, we're automatically out of alignment with what God has agreed and created us for. Which means anything created out of alignment is going to be set for sabotage. Most people don't understand that. I didn't understand that for quite some time. Another way that you can think about this is if you look at your life, and if you look at the people, the places, the circumstances, the situations, the events, and you look at the feelings that all of those create, whatever feelings those create is what feelings are operating internally. For example, if you notice that you are getting frustrated and you get into a fender bender, if you notice that you're getting frustrated and you have more people show up in your life that are creating anger and frustration, that means you are putting out those emotions. Therefore, you are getting more experiences in the form of people, circumstances, situations, and events that match your feelings. If you caught my video earlier, you saw that I did get in a fender bender last week and I was irritated. And I took full responsibility for it immediately when it happened because I already knew I had created it. Thank God it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. Just a little bit of damage I get to fix, but it could have been way worse. So my invitation to you is this. Let's do a little inventory. Take a look at your life right now. Look at the people. Look at the things that are going on. Look at the experiences that you have. Look at the feelings that all of those create. Are they joyful? Do they create enthusiasm? Do they create love? Do they create sadness? Do they create anger? Do they create frustration? wherever you're at, it's okay. That's just where you're at on your perfect journey. And the only way you can change it is by first understanding exactly where you're at. Then you can shift. And we have 5 more minutes, ladies and gents, and we'll be done. So let's talk about how do I reconnect? How can I have it all? Because if you're not connected, you're not going to be able to have it all. How can I have it all? How can I reconnect with myself? It's a great question. Here's what you get to do. The first thing that I would encourage you to use is say the phrase, I give myself permission to remember when I fell out of love with myself the first time or the second. I give myself permission to remember the experience, because here's the thing. Once you can quote unquote name a thing or an emotion and an experience, meaning identify when the first time you fell out of love with yourself, that's the splinter. That's the deviation in your path. If we can go back to that experience, give ourselves permission to forgive it, give ourselves permission to reinstate our love for ourselves, and walk forward in that position through faith, now you're reconnected. And here's what the beautiful thing is. Your outer world will validate your decision. People will call. Things will look amazing, nature-wise. Like, things will happen. So if you're off your mark and you're not sure and you're showing up and your body keeps showing up with pains, you keep showing up with broken reciprocal relationships, you keep showing up with sabotage, there's some work that you get to do. And of course, I can help you with this stuff. I'm giving you some food for your brain to chew on, because most people that I've come across don't understand this. They don't understand that when you are in a bad mood or you're having a situation or an emotion that is not that great, they don't understand how to change it. What if you don't remember a time when you were truly loved your whole self? Oh, that's okay. Then we get to figure out where we get to get you back on your path, Christine. And here's the thing, like Peter and Christine and, was it Kim? I think it was Kim. It's really important just to honor where you're at. And just to give yourself full permission. And here's the deal. Say, I choose to make this fun and easy. I give myself permission to relax. I give myself permission to honor and be authentic with exactly where I'm at. Because honestly, that's where we really get to step back into loving ourselves and to get clear on where we're off our mark and what we get to create. And until you're really ready and willing to totally, fully accept and receive that part of your journey, everything else is going to be in resistance. And whatever you resist, persist. So just give yourself permission to be at peace. Relax. And if you are off your mark, more than likely you are having an issue sleeping. More than likely you are having an issue staying asleep. There's a good possibility you could be getting up between the hours of 1 and 3 a.m., which is representative of resentment. That's when your liver meridian runs. Good to know. You could also be functioning and getting up between the hours of 3 and 5 a.m., which is when your lung meridian runs, and that is when fear and survival kicks in. Every organ system that we have totally connects with an emotional belief system that goes with us. Awesome. Well, Kathy, this is a great time for you. I'm glad that this is on point for each of you. This was on my mind today when I shot my video, and I'm glad that I was able to share it with you. Now, we got about a minute and a half, so I make sure I'm respectful of everyone's time. And here's what you get to take away, okay? Love and enthusiasm and gratitude are the only things that will move you forward. If you are truly functioning in love, enthusiasm, and gratitude, you are magnetic to your good. Here is a system that I use, and I'm going to share with you real quick before we get cut off, okay? So it's called ABRA, like abracadabra. The A, Trixie, if you can write this, the A stands for acknowledge. The B stands for breathe. The R stands for release. The second R stands for realign. And the A stands for appreciation. Now, I'll go through all this with you, and just to be respectful of time. So all Trixie's people, I will gladly open up a free conversation with you. And I have a gift for you as well if you choose to take advantage of it. And we'll talk about it here in a second. But ABRA is the acronym or the system that I created to recognize when I'm off my mark through my body language, breathe through it, how to release my fear into my courage and my faith, or my sorrow, loving it into my joy, or loving my anger into my forgiveness. That's releasing and realigning. The last A stands for appreciation, which is being grateful that you're alive, being grateful you're where you're at, because this is your perfect journey. Being grateful of the experiences that you had in life, because it is those experiences that have shaped you to be the human being that you are today and right now. Acknowledge, breathe, perfect. So yes, there's my acronym you can use. Acknowledge, breathe, release, realign, appreciate. So hopefully you got some good value out of tonight. And you know, really my encouragement to you is this. Be easy on yourself. Give yourself permission to forgive yourself. Give yourself full permission in this body language. I can hear what I'm doing moving forward. I can hear what I'm doing, receiving what I'm doing. We'll talk about that too. Give yourself permission to forgive yourself. Give yourself permission to forgive people in your past that you may be holding on to. If you have any anger, give yourself permission to forgive that individual. If you have any pains somewhere, that means you have resisted anger, where we'd have to have a conversation to kind of dig into it. But here's something that I just really wanted to, or just choosing to invite you to take advantage of. We've had this out for a little bit now, and for those of you that have not been connected with me yet, you kind of understand some of the things that I do. And we didn't really get into a whole lot of food-based nutrition. Here's what I would like to do for you. Because there's a few things that I can connect with you and help you out with, is I would like to give you I can give you an 80% discount on one of our programs. It's our Nutrition Empowerment Series, which is 6 hours of grocery store knowledge and being able to go through your grocery store, understand why you would eat kiwis to reverse asthma, what foods you eat to boost your immune system. What does involuntary twitch mean? That's what that means. That's body language. Donna, that's body language. That's literally spirit, God, using your body in orchestrating movements that you did not do. That's body language. We would get to have a conversation to dig into more of that. And that's beautiful. That's innate orchestration of our Creator that is operating through you to let me know something, because your body is obviously trying to have a conversation with you. So body language is a huge deal. Like, that's honestly one of my favorites. So here's the deal for you. If you would like to have a conversation, message me after this. I'll give each one of you a free 15-minute conversation, because I don't know how to best serve you yet. If we talk for 15 minutes, I had 2 miracles happen today in 15 minutes. I see it happen all the time. If you would like to have a conversation and take me up on that, let's chat. We'll set up a time. Just message me when we get off of our call. I'll be glad to have a conversation with you on me for free, and allow me to support and serve you. And if there's some things that I have in the form of digital programs or things that I can support you with, then I will connect you and hook you up on some level to make sure that it is worth your time and worth your investment. So that's all I have for you right now. Hopefully you got some amazing value out of this. If you're looking for more trainings that I do these 2 to 3 to 4 times a night. I typically do them at 8. We did tonight at 8:30 for Trixie's group, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you go to my website or go to my YouTube station, Think Great, Lose Weight YouTube, you can find a ton of my trainings that are automatically set up. Yes, I can do the nutrition package. It's 80% off. As soon as we're done with this call, I will post the link so that you can go and grab our nutrition series for literally $97. It's typically $4.99. It's an 80% discount, and it's over 6 hours of grocery store food knowledge and things that will be extremely beneficial and helpful to you. I'll post that on this video as soon as we're done. So that's all I have. I appreciate you. I love you. I vote your victory. You probably heard me say that a few times, so allow me to share with you what that means. The opposite of judgment is voting victory. So if I'm judging you and I can change and I can say, oh wow, I'm tired of judging because that condemns me, and I can vote victory instead, well, automatically that gets me off the hook, and that blesses the other person. It also blesses myself, because I am you and you are me. So take that one and chew on it for a bit. So have an amazing night. Trixie, we'll catch up. I appreciate you. I enjoyed thoroughly always getting to share and to connect, and hopefully you got some amazing value out of tonight. And that's all I have. And just remember, if you don't make time for your illness, voting victory. If you don't make time for your wellness, you will make time for your illness. Have an awesome night. Bye-bye.